Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I leave this panel if you raise the hand to stop and receive the question. I tell you must create a Python free file. I have here a new Python free. And you would give a name, doesn't matter. I give a course free. Okay, then we have the syntax. For the syntax, I don't go over the basic for programming like variables, operators, because are the same in each language. I must concentrate on the stuff we need for the next course when we train a model. Okay, first you must keep in mind you don't have square brackets, parentheses on the conditional groups and so on. And also it's very important the indentation. If you don't put a tab, you receive an error. Okay, this is the first thing you must see in the Python. And then in Python you don't have arrays, but you have list. Okay, and the list it's ordered. It's an order editable collection. You can have duplicates members, and you create with square brackets. And this is the first part of code I create for the list. Okay, let's create a list. I can put here a message with lists. So now this is the list section. Okay, and I'll show you some commands. The first one is print. If you want to display something, doesn't matter if you display list or something else. Then if you want to display a section inside your list, you must specify the first index and then colon and then the section, and you display this is the first one and the second one. Okay, because the free is not included, the index free. If you want to include also 2, you must write 4 here. Okay. Also in Python, something else very nice. You can display the last element. If you see with -1, this is the last element. If I want to display 2, I write -2 and I display the previous. Okay, let's keep with the last element. Okay, if you want to change a value, just specify the index. It's like in the other languages, nothing different here. Okay, and if you see, I change position too. Okay, for the length, you have a function length, and you see the length of the list is 5. If you want to add something inside the list, you have a function append. Okay, these are the most common function what I tell you. If you see is the last element. If you want to remove one, you specify the element you want to remove. But first, let's insert a number because I want to remove the number I insert. Okay. Okay, I insert on the second position. I insert 9. Let's display to see. And it's inserted here. And if you want to remove, you have the function remove. And you specify the value you want to remove. And display also the I think this is C. Okay. Okay, don't bother because I will save this file and I upload here the file on the course. Okay. And you can check check what I write. Okay, and I think this is all about the list. Then you have functions in Python. You use functions like in other languages if you want to reuse code. To create a function, you have this keyword def, and then you create a function. You specify parameters if you want, and also return. And if you want to call the function, the name of the function, and insert the parameters. So create a new section, functions, and create the most easy function, sum a vector. And you pass an array. Okay, also, if you don't have curly brackets, just write colon in Python. Okay, and then you must loop this vector. For the loop is this light. You create a variable, you give this name, then you have the keyword in, and you specify the array, the sequence, the list, what you want to loop, and then you can work with the value. This is the for loop. Nothing complicated. Okay, you create a value and loop the array, and then to the sum you add the values and return the sum. And if you want to call this function, the name of the function, and pass the list. If you see, these are the numbers. I make the sum. Okay, it is not an error. I run again this remove 9 and doesn't exist. Okay, and it's working, this one. I compile another row. Okay, let's create another function. If you have questions, tell me and and raise the hand and I'll stop and you can put the question. Just raise the hand. Okay, after that I create another example. Let's create a list of squares. Okay, create a list, an empty list. Let's loop this list. Okay, and I have a range 1n. That means I loop each number from 1 to n. Is the index. Okay, forgotten. And let's use the append to add a number. If you remember, I use append to add inside the list. And to raise to the power, a number, you have yes, you have a question? Do you have a question? Okay, to raise a number to the power, just write 2 times multiplication. Okay, don't start with 0 because also with 1 is not necessary because 1 to the square is also 1. And let's call the function. Okay, and then let's say the first 10 numbers. Okay, if you see the last one is 9, because if you want to include also the number you write here, you can add the n plus 1 here. And you have also 10. Or you can specify here 11, is the same thing. Okay, I think it's enough about functions. You have 2 examples. And we move on to the conditional. Okay. Let's create the most easy example because we just used to the syntax and to move on to the libraries for the machine learning. Okay, let's create the, I don't know, the most easy, I think it's odd even number. Let's check if number is odd or even. You have the if and then modulo 2. And if the rest of division is 0, that means you can print even. Else you can print odd. Okay, and you call the function and you give a number. Okay, I forgot to put here column. And this is even. Okay, if you want to call 2 times a function, if you see, you can reuse the code that we use functions. I think also if it's enough, let's go to the while loop. For the while we have an expression, and this expression is execute while the condition is true. Let's create another section, while. Okay, let's reverse a number. This is, for example, you insert 1, 2, 3, and you want to reverse 3 to 1. It's a number in mirror, okay? That means reverse. First, you create a number with 0. You need a while. And the condition while n it's greater than 0. That means to the number, you multiply the digit with 10. For example, you start with 0. 0 multiplied with 10 is 0, and then you add last digit. To add the last digit is the rest of division. When you go to the next iteration, you have the last digit multiply with 10. That means you have, for example, if the last digit is 2, you have 20 here, and then you add again the last digit, and for example, like this. If you have like this, you have 10 multiply with 0, plus last digit, okay? Then when you go to the second iteration, you have like this, okay? And you have 32. And then to the last iteration, you have like this, okay? And you reverse the number. And also you want to remove the last digit because you take it and add it to the number, and to remove you must divide with 10. But be careful because in Python here you don't have a type, it's a float, it's an integer. When you divide with 2, you receive a decimal number like this. With 10, sorry. When you divide with 10, you receive a decimal number. Okay, and if you want to take only the integer part, you will write 2 times slash and you have the integer part. Okay, I must write 2 times slash, then return the number, and let's call the function. Let's put a 0 here. Okay, and if you see, this is the reverse number. Okay, this is the part with the syntax. Well, the syntax, what you need that in other languages. This exception is this is also meet in PHP, JavaScript, if you know. It's the same thing also in other languages. It's not the same thing in Java or in C++. Okay, when you have questions, you can raise a hand and I will respond. Okay, next we go on the Python libraries. In this course, we look on the NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib library. Okay, NumPy is for arrays, Pandas to work with files, and is similar with Excel, and you have columns, rows, and you can when you can read the file and create a Pandas element, and then Matplotlib to display a graph. Okay, and let's go to the NumPy. First, to use NumPy, you must import the NumPy. And if you see to not write every time NumPy, you can create an alias. And when you need NumPy, just use npem. Okay, and let's create like in the list examples. I write some common functions in NumPy. If you see, I go over the list in the same way I go over the NumPy. First, let's create an array of 0. And here you can specify the length. For example, 9 elements. If I put double R, zeros. If you want 5 elements, you can have 5. If you want 10 elements, okay, and you create an empty array. In the same way, you create an array of let's say second array with 1, okay? And for example, if you want this array to be with tens, you just multiply with 10, okay? But let's keep with element number 1. Another thing you can create identity matrix, for example, which is called I. Okay, and if you see, you have this is the name. I think also I think to show with 5 elements. Okay, let's keep with 5 elements, and if you see, you have on the principal diagonal, you have ones. Okay, this is the identity matrix. Okay, another thing you can create a range. And you can specify the interval. For example, let's start with 5 and go to 10. Okay, and let's display. Okay, with just one, its range, just one R. Okay. Okay, just create a range between create an interval between a limit, inferior limit and the superior limit. Okay, other thing you can do is to create random numbers. Also, it's very useful when you work with distributions. You have numpy random, and then you have a random int, and you specify the interval on the inferior interval. Okay, starting from 1, then the last the greater number in this random, and then you have how many numbers you want. For example, you want 10 numbers. Okay, and let's display okay, and if you see, every time I run, I receive a random list. Okay, and if I want this list, for example, I copy and paste and I create again a list, and I want to transform this list into a matrix. Okay, how can I do this? It's very easy in Python. Just I use reshape, and I specify. I have 10 elements. Let's specify like this. Okay, specify the number of lines and the number number of columns. Let's see another thing. Okay, if you remember, I tell you about -1 at the beginning. Here. Also, you can use -1 inside this reshape. Okay, if you see, here I have 20 numbers. For example, I know I have 4 columns, but I don't know how to calculate how many lines I have. Just I put -1, and the Python will do for me how many lines I need. And I can do the same thing on the columns. I know how many lines I have, but I don't know how many columns I have. Okay, and if you see, the Python create for me the matrix. Okay, and I think this is what you must know about NumPy for the beginning part. Also, you have scalars or 0D arrays, just an element. You have one dimension arrays. This is a vector list, if you observe. Then you have second order or tensors. This is a array table or matrix. Then you have third order. If you see, you have 2 arrays inside for the 3 dimension. If you see, you have 2 arrays of 2 dimension inside. And if you want to check the dimension, the size, you have ndim, and you see the dimension. Okay, this is another thing I don't cover. Okay, then we have pandas. When you use pandas, you must know, depends on NumPy, what we already do. And also it's very optimized because it's written in Cython or C. And provide data structure for manipulating arrays or time series. Okay, in pandas you have a free data structure, series, data frame, and panel, and this is the dimension. In the example, I concentrate on the data frame because when you import a CSV file, you have columns and rows, and the most common data structure used is the data frame. Okay, and also we have some properties. If you observe, the series is immutable, data frame panel it's mutable, you can change. Okay, and this is the constructor. You must specify data. This is the required. The index is optional if you want to specify or not. Also columns is optional. If you don't specify, you have by default this range. If you remember, you use the range. You can specify the data type for each column and you can create a copy. Okay, and let's create an example. First, we must import. If you remember, on the NumPy, we import the let's create a data frame with nodes. First, I want the name for the students, and I create a list. Here let's have 5 students. Okay, and then let's give a score for each one. And again, each student have a score between 1 and 100. Let's give some random numbers. Let's create this data frame. It's pandas, and if you remember, to create just write data frame and pass the data. The data, it's this node we create. Okay, and now you have this data frame and you can play with the data frame. For example, if you want to sort the grades, if you want to find the minimum, the maximum. Okay, I don't know, let's find the interval. Let's find the students who have grades greater than 19. I think it's a good example. Let's create a list. Then let's loop. Let's give another, I don't know, score, because it's the same name like our data frame to not create some misconfusion. Then I want the data frame and I must specify what I want. For example, score to what I want to loop. And then I check if the score is greater than 19 and less than 100. Okay, and then it means I can append scores inside our list. And this is the list. You see the grades we have here. If you see, I choose what to display. Okay, for example, here, if I want to display how it works, if I want to display the name, I just specify the index. Okay, I have the list and specify the index. For example, if I want to display a name, just one name, okay, I have our index name, and then I specify the position. I have 0, 1, 2, I don't know. Let's specify the middle one, which is 2. Also, if you remember on the list, we specify a range. If you want to specify more names, if you see 1, 2, 3, okay, the 4 is not included. We specify a range of names. Okay, in this way you work with data frames. Okay, if you have questions, tell me. If not, I think we can go on. Okay, and the next thing is, and the last one is the Matplotlib library. It's for creating interactive graphs, okay? And can specify many properties like axis, add the text to the axis, title, labels, scale, and also you have a bunch of plots like bar, box plot, histogram, pie plot, polar, scatter. Okay, and we see some examples. But first, to use this matplot library, you must import the library. This is the syntax to import. Okay, but first let's before we import, let's work with our file. And if you want to do the example, or to test the example, I give you the file. You can download later this Titanic CSV. Sorry. I click something else. Okay, let's continue with pandas to read the file. And you have read CSV, and the file is Titanic CSV. If you observe, I put this file inside my Rose folder, which I created. You can create where you want. I create on the desktop, but you must navigate inside this folder. You look here. When you create the Python file, you must navigate in this folder. And if you observe, you have the CSV I give. You can download and place inside the folder if you want to test the code. This file you can download and place there. Okay, and the first thing you must do also when you apply a machine learning algorithm is to look on the data, okay, to see what data you have. And you can first, if you look, you can see, if you can use the head function to see the first 5 rows. And if you see you have an ID for passenger, you have a survive, if the passenger survive or no. You have a class, you have a name, a gender, age. Age is to, I don't know exactly what it means. You have a ticket, a price for the ticket, which is uh, the cabin, and this means not a numerical number, means doesn't know exact what was the cabin, and embarked. Dacă s-a embark, yes or no. Okay, these are the data. Also, if you want to see the last data, you have, if you see here is head, here is tail. Okay, and if you observe, you have 900 people who bought tickets for Titanic. Okay, if you want to see more information about your data frame, you have info. And if you see, you have the information, the columns I specify here, but also the data type, okay? And when you train an algorithm, we must use these integer float numbers, okay? Now we can look on the plot library. First, we need to import. The first thing, let's create a plot, a simple plot. We have just plot, and you draw a line between, you draw lines between points. That depends how the points it's, what is the, let's close this one. Okay, you must specify what you display on the X. And I want to display the passenger ID. If you see, is this column, passenger ID. And on the Y, I want to display the price ticket. Okay. Then I can add a label to know what that means for each one. Okay, and then you can display it. Okay, and let's decrease the screen a bit. Okay, what do we observe from this graphic? You don't observe so much. You can draw conclusions. Some people have high tickets, this 300, and more people have tickets between 0 and 100, okay? That means this is the first class, this is the first class, this is the medium second class, and this is the last class, third class, something like that. You can interpret the data. Okay. And if you see it's not a good idea to plot the data like this, if you see you have a lot of noise, and sometimes if you want to remove the noise, you can display uh, less points, okay? If you remember, I tell you to use the interval on the list. And if you see, I specify from 0 to 7, okay? Display only 7 points. And you can have something like that, okay? You have another picture. When you have a lot of noise, you can choose an interval. Or you can choose a random interval. If you remember, I give you also the random part. I want to choose something random. Okay, I think this is okay for the simple plot. Let's go to the bar plot. Okay, you can see a bar plot. And it's good to see the bar plot when you want to count something, okay? In our case, if you look, I can count here how many people survive, okay? Okay. To count this, how many people survive, I choose our data frame. If you remember, I create a data frame when I read the file here, data frame, and I have the column survive. It's good also to copy the, let's increase the screen, to copy the cells to not misspell the names, okay? If you see, I just copy from here. And then I have a function value counts. And if you see 0 means how many died, and 1 how many survive. Okay, and I want to display this on the plot. But if you see here on the plot, I must give a list, okay, like this. And this is not a list. Okay, and I want to give a list 0, 1. And what I must do, I can transform this to a list. First, I must take only the index. And if you see, I see 0, 1. And then to transform something to a list, you have the function toList. And you can apply all the properties, also take the index, okay? And I give 0, 1. And you can apply all the properties what we pass in the first part to the list part. Okay, and then I must create XY. This is the X, already created, and the Y is the value counts. Okay, how many people are for each section. Then I have a float, a label for the float. On the X, I have the passengers, okay, because are the passengers, and on the Y, I have this survive. Okay, how many survive? And let's use the bar to display the elements. Okay, and if you see, these are the data, and it's plotted here, okay? Now, if you want to know which one is 0, which one is 1, if you see, it's also in the middle, 0, 1, but if you want to display it, you have text to display some text on the plot. And you must specify the coordinate. If you see, this is 0, and then you can go to the positive part. You see 100. Then what text display? I display 0. And also you have a font size if you want to increase. And if you see display here, this is 0, this is 100. And you display here. If you want on the negative part, you display it on the negative. But let's keep it on the positive. Okay, and then I must display also 1. Okay, the coordinate is 1, 100. Okay, this is X, this is Y. Then what text I display? I write text to see. You can write what you want. Okay, but I want to display 1. Okay, and in this way you display the something on the bar plot. Okay, if you don't have questions, I'll go to the next plot. Okay, and this is the last one, is the scatter plot. And it's very useful also the scatter plot because you can plot the data, and sometimes you can identify what machine learning algorithm to apply from for visualization the data. Is okay. I need the X, I need the Y. Let's take some data. For the scatter, let's use the passenger ID. And for the Y, let's use ticket price. Say passenger ID and I copy survive. Also, let's display the label. And let's display the Y label. Also, here you can write what you want. It's a label if you want to write like this. Okay. This is very important because this is the column and you must write the same name. But here on the label, you can write what you want. And let's see, scatter plot between XY. Okay, this is the scatter plot for the passenger ID and the price for the ticket. Also, if you observe, you have just 3 people who pay high tickets. Then you have something inside the middle between 200 and 300. And then you have more people who navigate with tickets less than 100. I think dollars is the currency. And something like that you can visualize. Okay, for example, you can create a scatter plot between the people who survive and the price for the ticket to see if you see something. Okay, I have the survive in the data and the price. Again, add the label. This is the label. It's very important to add to know exact what you display. And then use the scatter plot. Display the data. Okay, it's not so nice, but if you see the people who stay on the first class or survive, okay, this is one. And from the second and third class, these are very balanced numbers, okay. Maybe they survive, maybe they have a boat, they are on the top of the boat and so on. The others who came first. Okay, and let's make another scatter plot. Let's see age and fair. Okay, to see for the X I have age, display the label. Okay, and from the data, if you observe the person who buy the first class are middle age, and the others also are balanced. If you see, maybe on this part are less people on the third class, but also are less people in the boat above 16. And something like that you must do to see what algorithm you must apply. First, you take a look on the data, then you take a look to plot the data, and then you decide what algorithm to apply. Okay, I don't know if you have questions. If you want to see more information, you can go to the biography section and see what I used to create this course. And also you can check after I close the Teams to check the PDF file I upload. I create a PDF file with the code I write for this course. Okay, if you don't have any questions, you are free.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and next time we create a model with these libraries.